Welcome back to my channel. Today we'll discuss about one condition, common condition, that is the shoulder pain. So there are number of conditions which cause shoulder pain. But common condition we'll see that is with the frozen shoulder. There are different names for the frozen shoulder, like periarthritis of shoulder, adhesive capsulitis. The names may be different. Simply it is called as a stiff shoulder. So there are many problems with the frozen shoulder, and the major problem is limitation of the functional activities. That means the patient have difficulty in doing the functional activities, and the patient complains of pain, severe pain the patient will complain of during the frozen shoulder. So why it occurs, why this frozen shoulder will occur? So there are different types of frozen shoulders. First one we will call it as a primary frozen shoulder. So during this primary frozen shoulder, we cannot find out any specific reason why this occurs. And the secondary frozen shoulder, where we will see some of the causes, and it is associated with underlying conditions, like you can see with the diabetes or the shoulder problem itself. Inside the joint itself there is a problem, like calcific tendinitis, rotator cuff injuries, examples, all these things. And there could be a problem outside the shoulder joint, like could be surgeries like breast surgeries or cervical radiculopathy, or it could be associated with any fractures outside the shoulder joint. So all of them can cause with the frozen shoulder later stages, nothing but stiff shoulder. What are the risk factors? As I said, so this frozen shoulder commonly occurs with the 40 to 60 years of age, and females are commonly affected. Among these, the diabetes is very common, and thyroid conditions and immobilization period, like those people who are under immobilization, and age factor. All of them are highly more prone to frozen shoulder. We'll see with the clinical picture how the patient will present with the frozen shoulder. Basically, when you see the stages, the frozen shoulder problem will goes with the 3 stages. So when you take with an axis, this is with the x-axis and y-axis, this line corresponds to the intensity of pain. That means how the severity of symptoms are there, and this line will goes with the duration. So usually the frozen shoulder will take up to 1 to 2 years to subside. So basically when I say with the stages, 3 stages basically in the frozen shoulder. One is with the freezing stage, frozen stage, and thawing stage. That means resolution stage. When you see the duration, so this duration may change. It may not be fixed duration. So roughly I said here 0 to 3 months, but it can extend up to 0 to 5 to 6 months also it can extend. So this was the first stage, and the second stage again from extend from 3 to 9 months or 6 to 9 months. And the third stage, resolution stage, it can extend from 9 to 18 months or up to 2 years, as I said. Okay, first stage, what are the signs and symptoms the patient will present? The first stage, it goes only with the pain. The pain will be the major reason in the first stage. The patient complains of pain, very severe pain, and night pain. Patient cannot sleep, and the patient complains of difficulty in sleeping on the side-lying position, that is either right side or left side. And the pain will radiate from the shoulder to the up to the lateral aspect of the shoulder. So patient has severe pain. So present in the first stage, patient complains of pain. If you see the graph, the pain will be increasing in the first stage. It starts from 0 level, then it starts increasing. That means it reaches the maximum in the first stage. But whereas the mobility at the shoulder, so there is a difficulty for the functional activity, as I said, that will be minimal, but pain predominate in the first stage. And once the patient enters in the second stage, what you call as the frozen stage, the pain after reaching the peak point, it decreases. That means pain slowly decreases. But whatever the mobility it is there, the mobility at the shoulder, it goes on decreasing. So once you enter into the second stage, the mobility will be decreases completely. So this mobility restriction is predominant in the second stage. So what mobility defines means, so the patient have difficulty in doing all the functional activities, like wearing the shirt, wearing the sarees or blouse, or removing the shirt, combing the hair, or doing the functional activities in the house, reaching activities or climbing activities, like example swimming, anything. The patient have difficulty in the functional activities, but at the same time the pain will be decreasing in the second stage. Once the patient enters in third stage, now you can see mobility, whatever it is decreased completely, it start increasing. That means mobility will increase and pain also will decrease at the third stage. But why we need to take the treatment means, the patient cannot tolerate the pain and mobility restriction, and we cannot wait for the long period of time. So we need to undergo with the treatment. So according to the stages, we need to undergo with the treatment. So suppose if you see with the first stage, as I said, the pain is more prominent, that is more typical feature with the pain. So we need to respect the pain in the first stage. So maximum protection or maximum education is all the activities whatever that should not increase the inflammation to the shoulder joint. So the pain we need to respect. That means like any options like education of the patient, like lying on the affected side, that should be avoided. And if suppose if you want to lie down, then we need to take a pillow and take rest on the shoulder. We need to rest the shoulder on the pillow and then we need to lie down. And also for pain controlling, we have a number of modalities. Like in the home, we can use hot pack for reduction of the pain. And once we enter into the second stage, or in between the first stage and second stage, where the restriction of mobility is there, and we think that mobility is restricting and the functional activities are difficult, then we can go. But in the first stage, as the pain is more common, so we need to go simple activities like passive movements, what you say, or active assisted movements, so that we can do in the home, that we can carry out. And we should not put more stress to the exercises in the first stage. As the stage progresses to the second stage, we can put more stress so that we can improve the mobility. So we'll see today what are the exercises that we can do in the first stage, in the acute stage. So as I said, pain relief, you can use the hot pack for reduction of the pain. So, or when you are doing the exercises, we can keep the hot pack for 15 to 20 minutes, and then after that you can do the exercises. Once exercise is completed, you can keep the cryotherapy, or cold pack you can keep on the shoulder joint for reduction of the pain. So this protocol you can keep: hot pack, exercises, and then cold pack. Now we'll see what are the exercises we need to do in the first stage of frozen shoulder. So we'll see with all the exercises what we'll do in the first stage of frozen shoulder. As I said earlier, the pain is the main factor in the frozen shoulder in the initial stages. So that how we will control by using the exercises, we'll see. The common exercise is the pendular exercises, and there are different techniques of doing pendular exercises. So I'll show you the correct technique and how generally also commonly it can be done. That also I will be demonstrating first. So commonly the PA shoulder, in a frozen shoulder, the pendular exercise can be done. Just bend the body, take a support on the table or a couch, and then we'll ask him to do the movement, like just a forward movement. So as if it is going forward and backward. But this is a wrong technique. This is a wrong technique. The correct technique is the hand should be free and it has to move just like a pendulum, and our body should move to and fro, so that the body weight itself to initiate the movement at the shoulder joint. Already shoulder joint is painful, so we need to give rest to the shoulder joint. So bend forward, take a support, and we need to stand in a forward position. So now hand is hanging freely, then you just shift the weight forward. Now we can see the hand is moving forwards and backwards. For more effectiveness of the exercises, we can take a water bottle, or we can use a dumbbell of half kg of 1 kg depending upon the patient. Okay, so that whatever the weight we are taking in the hand, that will provide a traction force to the shoulder joint and it will relax the muscles around the shoulder joint. Now come to the position as I said earlier. So take the weight in the hand. Now we shift the body weight from front leg to the back leg. Now you can see. So this forward and backward movement of the body weight, shifting it, will create a pendular movement in the shoulder. So the shoulder will be hanging slowly. So we can start the movement very slowly. Later onwards, we can increase the movement at a faster rate also. Clear? So this was forward and backward movement. The next movement is sideward movement, that is abduction of the shoulder joint. So to improve the shoulder joint abduction, we will do the pendular movement. So what is the first wrong technique commonly will be done? Patient will be bending forward and taking a support. Then we'll ask the patient to do the movement. So this is wrong because we are putting extra stress to the shoulder joint. The correct way of doing is similarly only, but body shifting will be there. So body weight has to shift from one leg to the another leg. So the correct technique is bend forward, the weight will be there in the hand, then you just shift the weight from one leg to the other leg. Now you can see freely the hand is moving to and fro, that is from towards inside and outside. Now the third movement is rotations. So again we have the two options, one is wrong technique and correct technique. The wrong technique is hanging downwards, and this is a wrong technique. Clear? Both the clockwise direction and anti-clockwise direction. This is a wrong technique. Correct technique, take the support. Now you can see the weight shifting from one leg to the another leg. Now you can see. Okay. So with the body weight, we need to move the shoulder. So both in the clockwise directions and anti-clockwise directions. So these exercises, pendular exercises in 3 directions, forward and backward movements and sideways movements and rotations. So it can be repeated 10 times, 3 sets we can do, and then 2 times in a day also you can do with the patients with the frozen shoulder. It will be helpful for the patient. Next exercise is a finger ladder exercise, like how will you climb the ladder with the fingers. That's why it is called as a finger ladder exercises. Very simple exercises. So just there again we can do the 2 movements like flexion, extension and abduction movement that we can do with this exercise. The first one is the flexion extension exercises. So just stand in front of a wall at a hand distance. You see that how much the patient will have the pain. Okay, don't go behind the pain range. Initial stages, respect the pain. So till go to the beyond the pain only, up to the pain only, then you come back and then you can repeat the movement. So start with the fingers touching at the wall, then slowly just climb the wall with the fingers. So suppose this is the pain level, so don't go beyond the pain level, then you come back to the neutral position. Suppose if the patient is not able to do because of pain, the patient can take the support of the hand, then slowly you can assist the movement with the other hand. Okay, suppose you cannot able to reach the complete movement, just put a leg in front, then you can go up, then you can come down slowly. Usually when you do this movement, most of the movement will occur at the elbow joint, but we want the movement at the shoulder joint. So we can modify this activity by using a cloth, just like how will you clean the wall. So just keep a cloth in front of the wall, then you just shift the body weight from one leg to another leg, then you slowly move the cloth upwards, then you come down slowly. Okay, move it up, then come down. Suppose if you want to go improve the range, more range, if you want to improve the more range, then you can shift the body weight from one leg to another leg and then you can go up. You just bend the knee, then you come down. Okay, you can see it moving forward and then coming back. Again, as I said, if the patient cannot able to do, we can assist the movement with the other hand. Suppose the hand and then ask him to do, lift the hand, then come down. Yeah. Next, finger ladder exercise with the sideward movement, that is for the improving abduction range of motion. So keep the hand on the wall with the fingers, then slowly climb the wall with the fingers. Suppose it's a pain limit, then again you come back to the starting range, again do the movement. But if you observe, most of the movement will be occurring at the elbow joint. Clear? So modification, again we can take a cloth, then you can keep the limb extended completely, then take a walk standing position, then you slowly move the cloth up. Still, if you want to increase the more range, you can shift the weight by bending the knee, then slowly come back. Yeah, so then you can repeat it for 10 times and you can do for the 3 sets, 10 times, 10 times, 10 times. When you are doing this exercise, we need to take few precautions. The first one is, when you are doing the forward movement, the body should be in front of the wall. Okay, and there should not be any elevation of the shoulder. Suppose if the movement is limited, usually when the patient cannot do the movement, what the patient will do, the patient will lift the shoulder here. That means there will be wrong movement will be occurring. So that we need to prevent. Similarly, when you are doing the sideways movement, the body should be straight like this and should not turn like when you are doing this movement. So it should be straight. And again, as I said, when you are doing the sideways movement, the shoulder elevation should be limited. There should be minimal amount of elevation should occur. But for a compensation, when the patient cannot do this movement, the patient will lift the shoulder in a upward direction. So which is a wrong movement. Similarly, the patient can have a compensation movement. When the patient cannot able to lift through the shoulder, the patient will bend sideways so that to reach the target. Clear? So these precautions you need to take. Okay, next exercise is the alphabet exercises. That means we need to write an alphabets on the wall using the affected shoulder. Now we'll see how to write that alphabets on the shoulder, on the wall. So just the affected shoulder, with the affected shoulder facing the wall, like now we are writing with the A, then B, C, D. So when you observe, when you are writing these alphabets, the movement is occurring at the shoulder. So it also helps in the improving the both the range and also the strength of the surrounding shoulder muscles. Now when you are doing this exercise, suppose if the patient cannot able to do, then he can do with the assistance of the other hand. Like now you can see the patient have difficulty in writing A. So now I can assist with this hand supporting the elbow so that we can decrease the pain. A, B, then C, D. So like this we can continue all the alphabets from A to Z if the patient can able to do. Next exercise is the pulley exercises. By using this pulley, and this pulley can be available in any medical shop or any surgical shops. So very easily we can do the exercises using this pulley, and this pulley helps in assisting the movements of the shoulder. So we can do the forward and backward movement with the shoulder, with the pulley, and also with the sideward movement, that is with the abduction. So now we'll see this pulley will have the hook. This hook can be hanged to the wall or can to any door in the house, and easily we can do with the exercises. And these are the holding bars to the both the hands. We need to hold it with the both the hands, right and left. Okay. So suppose if one hand is affected, the right, so the left hand will be assisting the movement. That means the movement can be done with the left hand, so that the movement will occur on the right hand. So that is the advantage of the pulley, so that cannot put any extra amount of stress to the affected shoulder. With the normal shoulder we will do the movement. Now we'll see how we do with the exercise with this pulley. Now we'll see how to do with the exercises with the pulley. So as I said, with the suppose the right hand is the affected hand and the left hand is a normal hand. So by using the left hand, we need to pull the left hand like this downwards, so that the right hand moves upwards. Now you can see starting like this. So then I am just pulling the pulley downwards with the left hand. My right hand is moving. So you can do it very slowly if it is painful. Then if you leave it, then slowly it comes down to the normal position. I'll repeat it again. I'm just pulling with the left hand. Now you can see right hand is moving up. And then slowly if you leave it, again it come back to the normal position. Similarly, we can do with the sideways movement. So when you are doing the sideways movement, the thumb should be facing upwards. And again you can see the starting from here, or suppose the range is like this only this much movement is possible. Then I will pull it slowly. My right hand is moving upwards. Okay. However, the movement that is depends upon the movement that is possible. Suppose from 90 degrees, the movement is limited till 90 degrees. So if you want to improve the range above the 90 degrees, then you can see here, slowly you can get it, and if it is painful, then get it down. If it is painful, then move it up. So we can improve this range. So we can improve any particular range with the pulley also. Or the range is improved till 90 it has come. Then if you want with the more range also, then you can go it slowly pulling upwards. Okay, then again by losing it, left hand leaving the left hand, again it come back to the neutral position. So initially we can do it very slowly, and suppose if the movement is increasing and pain is decreasing, then we can do it fastly also. So that movement will be facilitated at the shoulder joint. And what are the common two mistakes that will be done commonly when you are doing this pulley exercises? One is the posture, like suppose leaning posture, that should be avoided, or bending forward, that should be avoided. That is the first one. And the second one is with the when the movement is not possible, what the patient will do, the patient will elevate the shoulder girdle. Now you can see here. So this is the wrong movement. This is the wrong movement. Okay. And next one is when the patient cannot able to do the movement, then trunk movement will be compensated like this. So now you can see the trunk is bending and then coming back. So these two movements should be avoided when you are doing this pulley exercise. The next exercise is with the active assisted exercise. That means we can do the forward movement with the help of the unaffected hand. So suppose the right hand is the affected hand and the shoulder movement is limited like this. So after this the patient cannot able to do, or the patient have the pain from the neutral position to this range. So now we can improve this range after this also by using this other hand, that is a normal hand. So you just clasp both the hands. Now you can lift it with this normal hand. So you can take the assistance with the normal hand. Okay, slowly you can come here, and then again suppose this is the pain range. Okay, don't cross the pain range, then you come back to the neutral position. Again you just lift it slowly, and then you can come back. So you can repeat these exercises 5 to 10 times depending upon the pain level. Clear? Like this we can complete the entire range. Okay, slowly you need to get it back. Again we can go down also, then you come down slowly. So this is the active assisted exercise using the other hand. And the same variation we can have this technique, that is what you call as an oscillatory techniques. So suppose the range is limited here with this hand, so we can oscillate the hand slowly. So at this range it is painful, and also the range is not improving from this range. So we can give oscillations with the other hand, with the help of the other hand. So then the range has improved. So then you come back. So before it was here, now the range has improved till here. Again you can start here the oscillations. Okay, and then you can come back to the neutral position, and then again take back. Now again you can do the oscillations. So like that you can go further, and then you can apply the oscillations. I can go up, and then you can apply the oscillations. So till the end range also you can apply the oscillations to improve the range. So particularly the forward movement. Then you can come back slowly. Next exercise that we can do with the frozen shoulder patient is the scapular exercises. So these scapular exercises are very, very important because the scapular movements also can be affected in the frozen shoulder. So there are 4 movements that can be commonly occur with the shoulder girdle, that is upward and downward movements and forward and backward movements of the shoulder girdle. Like we'll see now how to demonstrate that the exercises. The first one is the upward and downward movements. So just keep the hands on the thighs, relax, sitting straightwards, no bending forwards and no leaning backwards. So we need to sit it straightly, then relax, and then you just lift the shoulder girdles upwards, then get it back slowly, and then you do it downward movement. So I'm just repeating again. So lift it upwards, and you can hold it there also. You can count it 1 2 3 4 5, then again you get it down, and then hold it there 1 2 3 4 5. So upwards, downwards, upwards, downwards, or you can hold there and then you can count it, come downwards and you can hold it. So this is the first movement, upwards and downwards of the shoulder girdle. Next movement is forward and backward movement of the shoulder girdle. Now you can see here, forwards, then backwards, neutral, forwards, neutral, and then backwards. So again you can get it forwards, and then you can hold it, then you can count 1 2 3 4 5, then get back to the neutral position again, then take it into the backward movement, then hold it 1 2 3 4 5, relax. Among these 4 movements, what are the first movement which I said, the upwards and downwards? Usually the shoulder in the frozen shoulder will go to the upward movement and to the forward movement. So these 2 movements will be maximally avoided, and then we can concentrate on the retractor, that is a backward movement. So you can get it back, and then you can hold 1 2 3 4 5, or simply also we can do this movement, then reverse. Suppose if you feel difficulty when doing this movement, the backward movement is not possible, then you keep the hands like this, then you take it backwards, then hold it, then get forwards, relax, backwards, and then you can relax. Okay, next exercise we can use on a wand or any stick or any PVC pipe we can use for the exercises. So we can do all the movements with the wand or the stick. The first exercise we can use the forward movement. So you can hold the stick like this, or like this also you can hold, depending upon the comfort of the patient. Now just hold it and then keep it in front of the body, then slowly you can lift the wand, and we can do it 2 ways. Actively he can lift with the affected hand. Suppose this is the right hand, the patient can use his effort to lift the hand, to lift the stick. Suppose if the patient cannot lift it and you want to assist the movement, then we can use this hand for the improvement of the range. So you can start, suppose the patient has a painful and I need to assist the movement. So I'm just starting the movement, then slowly lift it with the help of the other hand. So go down. Okay, suppose this is the pain range. Now the patient has a pain here. Then don't cross the pain limit. Again, you come back slowly to the neutral position. Okay, just go it, then come back. So till the pain level. Okay, don't cross the pain. Then you can come back. So this initially we can do it very slowly. Then you can come back. Next, once the range is improving and pain is decreasing, then repeatedly you can increase the speed, as I told you earlier with the other exercises. Clear? So this will increase the mobility at the shoulder girdle. Suppose we can use the another technique in the same with the wand, using the hand. So till here the patient can able to do. That means from 0, that is from the neutral position, the patient can lift till here. After that the patient has a pain. Okay, so now you get with the wand till that range. So hold it there and then we can do oscillations there. So you can see here clearly the hand is oscillating. So where the pain level is there. Okay, then you come back. Then slowly next time you just cross little bit whatever the range you gain. Then again you do the oscillations. Okay, then you can come back again. So further you can progress like that. Entire the range like this you can progress. Oscillations. Go back to the neutral, then come back, improve the range, again do it, oscillations, again go back to the neutral and then come back to the new range and then you can improve. So continuously you can do these movements. Okay. So initially you can do the 10 times and 3 sets and again to the pain level. According to your pain level, you can continue this exercise. Now next movement is the backward movement. The patient have difficulty in moving the hand backwards. So then we can assist with the wand. So this hand is assisting the movement or helping in the movement. Okay, so you just keep the hand like this and this one for pushing the wand. So this is the position, this is the neutral position and this is the position. So then slowly you push with this hand. You can see here slowly how the hand is going backwards. So that depends. Suppose if my pain limit is here, so don't cross the pain limit. So start from here, you come here till, then you go back. Okay, you can see here. And once the range is improved, then you can slowly go it backwards. Okay, so this hand will be helping in pushing the wand backwards. Clear? The same technique again, the oscillations also we can use to improve the back range. That is the backward range, that is extension. You can see till here the pain is there. Then you can move the stick or the wand backside so that the range will be improved or the mobility at the shoulder joint is improved. Then you come back neutral, then you go to the new range, then again push it backwards. So then slowly you can improve the entire range. So this we can do very slowly, and once the pain is improved and the range is improving, then you can repeat it. So you can improve the movement with the faster rate. Next movement is the sideways movement, that is you improve the abduction slowly. Okay, suppose the patient has limited abduction till only. So what usually the patient will do, when I ask the patient or when we ask the patient to do the sideways movement, the patient will do like this because the range cannot be completed using the hand. So he use the shoulder girdle movement. So the patient will lift like that. So to avoid that and to assist the movement, we can use the stick. So hold the stick like this in the sideways direction. So this one again, as I said earlier, to push the or to help the movement. So we can push the wand with this hand. Okay, now this is the position of keeping and the movement should come slowly. Now push it slowly in the sideways direction. You can see here slowly how the movement is occurring at the shoulder. The sideways movement, that is the abduction or sideways movement. Clear? Then suppose if the patient has a pain here, so then you go back to the pain level, come back, pain range, then come back. So our same technique, oscillations we can do here also. So take the range, then you can do oscillations at that range. Clear? Then you come back. So then further go beyond that range, then you can apply the oscillations, then you can come back. So you can do it slowly. Once the pain subsided or it is decreased or the range is improved, then we can go faster movement also. So this for abduction and with the adduction, that is sideways movement. So this way also we can do the movement. Next movement is the rotation movements that is affected with the frozen shoulder. The common movements are external rotation and internal rotation is affected. And if you see, most of the cases external rotation is affected. So to improve the external rotation, we can use the stick. So hold the stick, both the hands, and this hand will be assisting with the movement, whichever the movement if you want with the external rotation or internal rotation. So holding it, then slowly push it. But now I am just demonstrating, it is very easy for me to do this movement because I am normal. Suppose when you give with the patient, how the patient will do, the patient will do like this. So what happened, the patient will abduct the hand to improve or to do this movement. So to avoid this movement or this trick movement, so we can keep one towel under the armpit or the axilla, then we can hold it. Now you can see the patient is holding the towel with the under the axilla so that it will not be left, so that then slowly we can push it from neutral and slowly we can see, so that the clear movement of external rotation will occur at the shoulder joint. Suppose if we wanted to do the trick movement, then the towel will be gone. To avoid trick movements or a compensatory movement, so then we can keep a towel under the axilla or armpit, then ask the patient to do the movement slowly. Again we can use the oscillatory techniques. Suppose the range is only this much, that is the patient can able to do only this much, then we can do oscillations. Okay, once the range is improved or the mobility is improved, then we can go further, then we can come back. So like that we can do entire range. So as I said earlier, another movement to improve the extension, that is the backward movement of the shoulder. So I showed you like this. So another way of doing the extension also is there, like you need to turn back, then hold the stick or the band like this, then you do it slowly, backward movement. Suppose the right hand is affected, I can assist with the left hand in bringing it hand backwards, then you come back, take it back. Suppose the pain is there, the patient cannot do further, so then you go to the pain range, then you can do oscillations there, then you come back. Okay, pain range, come back, so that you can improve the complete range. Next exercise in the frozen shoulder is using the ball. So this ball we call as a physio ball or medicine ball. So using this ball also we can do the exercises in the earlier stage, that is when the pain is there to the shoulder, we can improve the exercise or we can improve the range to the shoulder. So using this ball also we can do all the movements, that is with the forward movement, again with the backward movement, sideways, and with the rotations. Now we will see how we do the movements. First one we will see sideways movements, how we do with the ball. Keep the ball here, then facing the ball sideways, keep the hand here. So some of the movement will occur at the elbow joint also, still the movement will occur at the shoulder joint, so that it will help in the mobility of the shoulder joint. So keep it like this, then slowly roll the ball. You can see the movement is occurring at the shoulder, that is the sideways movement that is improved, which the patient, this movement is having more pain. See, so you can roll it very slowly, take it there, don't cross the pain. Suppose if the pain is there here, so don't stretch it, because in the initial stages, that is in the first stage, don't put any stress to the shoulder joint. So come back to the neutral, then you can go further. Okay, or else once the pain is subsided, then we can repeat the movements. Or if the patient is having the pain is subsided, then keep it straight, elbow you keep it straight, then you take it into the abduction, then you come back. Okay, then you keep it into the straight, then you improve the further range to the shoulder joint. Next movement is rotations. Then turn towards the ball, keep the hand, suppose this is the affected hand, then you just roll the ball, slowly roll the ball. You can see the movement that is occurring at the shoulder. Okay, this is with the clockwise direction, and then we can do with the anti-clockwise direction also. So both clockwise, you can repeat for 5 to 10 times, then with the anti-clockwise direction. So this is for the rotational movements. Next we will see with the forward movement. So keep the ball, stand in front of the ball. Now the left hand is the affected hand. So keep the ball like this, then you just slowly roll the ball forward. Now you can see the forward movement of the shoulder. Then get it back to the neutral slowly. Okay, move it forward, then get it slowly to neutral. So you can see it slowly. The hand is moving forward. Before the shoulder was in neutral position. Now you can see slowly it is going forward. So this is the initial stages when the pain it is there. So the movement will be assisted with the ball so that it is easy for the patient. Now the same movement, the backward movement we need to do. So keep the ball like this, then you just roll it backwards, the ball. Okay, neutral. So this is neutral. Then slowly if you do this movement, the hand will goes backwards. Clear? See it here. Okay, move it neutral, then move it backwards. So once, as I said earlier, okay, pain is subsided, then you can move the ball with a faster rate. Okay, including both the forward movement and backward movement. So like this we can do with the ball all these movements.